Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We're learning Mishna Bava Kamma, Parak Gimel, Chapter 3, Mishna Aleph, Mishnah 1. All right. The discussion of this Mishnah is going to be the damager of bar, when you make an obstacle in a public domain. So Meniach Hakad Reshus Harabim. Someone leaves a jug on the ground in a public place. Uba Achav Niskalba Shavara. Somebody else came, tripped over it, and broke it. Putter. That person who broke it is exempt. Why is he exempt? It's because people do not usually look down at the ground while they are walking. Thus, the damager cannot be blamed for failing to notice something that was not expected to be there. Meaning, it's not like you have a right to put this jug down in the middle of the street. At the same time, though, if people were expected to be looking down when they walk, then they would be considered responsible to watch where they're going. But since they're not obligated to do that, therefore they don't have to pay damages for breaking it. The im huzakba, and let's say this person who tripped over it and broke it actually was injured by it, then the owner of the jug is obligated to pay for his injury, because he has now created a bar. He created the equivalent of a pit. He left an obstacle in a public area, and that caused the person to be damaged. He is liable for that. Okay? Now, an important halacha that goes like this. Even if he gave up ownership of the jug, he must pay for whatever damage it causes. Meaning, let's say he put the jug down and he said, Hefker, I don't own it anymore. Anybody can take it. Nonetheless, he's still obligated. This is derived from the law of bar, a pit in a public area. The person who dug the pit is responsible for it as though he were its owner, although it does not actually belong to him. In the classic case of bar, of the Torah is, you dig a hole in a public area. Is it your hole? No, it's not your hole. But because you created it, we consider it like it's yours, and you're responsible for it. So the same thing in this case over here, when you went ahead and you put that jug down and you made it hefker, you made it ownerless, doesn't make a difference. You created the obstacle, you created the bar, the equivalent of a pit, and therefore you're responsible. Now, next case. Nishbara Kadeh B'Shus Harabim, which literally translates as his jug broke in the public domain. How did it break? The answer is he tripped. He tripped. He stumbled, he fell, and the jug broke. Okay? And someone else slipped on the water and whatever dirtied his garments, or he was injured by the shards of pottery. Okay? Says the Mishnah, Chayev. That person who owned that jug is now obligated to pay. Now, since the first step is like this, is he considered negligent for tripping? Are you supposed to watch yourself and not tremble or not? So, according to this opinion, since the owner of the jug could have avoided stumbling and falling, he is responsible for creating the hazard of the water and shards lying on the ground. He must therefore pay for whatever damage they cause. So let me read here. Since the jug carrier was negligent in that he stumbled, that's considered negligence. This part of the Mishnah holds that for tripping, you are considered negligent. You should be watching where you're going and not tripping. Therefore, he is viewed as though he created the hazard with his own hands, similar to someone who dug a pit in a public area. Meaning he didn't literally put down something here. He didn't dig a pit. He didn't put down something here. But it came here because you tripped and you are considered negligent for tripping. As such, he is liable even if he gave up ownership of the water and shards. Okay, it's not yours, but nonetheless, you created it. So that is a Kamma. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Rabbi Yehuda says, no, it depends. B'miskaven chayev, b'miskaven potter. If your intent is to keep the water and the broken pieces, then you're obligated to pay. But if you don't intend to keep them, then you are exempt. Those are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. B'miskaven chayev. If you intend, not you intended to break it, but you intend to acquire meaning to you intend to keep the water that's spilled. You're gonna gather it up somehow, or the shards. You're gonna use it for something. If your intention is to keep them, then you're gonna be liable. Otherwise, you're putter. The explanation is, according to Rabbi Yehuda, this person is not viewed as having created the hazard because he stumbled and fell through no fault of his own. Which means, according to Rabbi Yehuda, stumbling is not negligence. Not negligent. I didn't do anything. I was like, so to speak, it's beyond my control. I'm not negligent for it. Therefore, he is exempt from payment because if I wasn't negligent in creating this obstacle in the public domain, then I'm not liable for it. However, what if you decide you're keeping the shards? Well, then it's your thing in a public domain. So even though you didn't create it, but it's there, and you should be removing it if it's yours. If you didn't, so then you're going to be liable. But this all depends on, though, if he decides to keep it or not. Meaning it sounds like, according to Rabbi Yehuda, if you trip and you fall, okay, what do you think? You're going to keep those broken pieces and try to gather up the water or not? It would seem like the assumption is not necessarily, the assumption would be not, or at least put it this way. At that point, it's going to be up to you to decide, am I leaving it there or not? Am I picking it up? If I am going to be leaving it there, and I'm not planning on keeping it, meaning he doesn't have to go make a new kinyan necessarily. He could just decide he's keeping it. But the point is that when he drops it and he breaks it, and he stumbled and he broke it. So he wasn't negligent for stumbling. Stumbling is considered beyond your control. Okay, which means the cause of why these broken pieces are in the public domain is not for any fault of mine. And therefore, if it's not my fault for putting it there and it's not mine, I'm not liable for it. However, if you decide that you want to keep them, then although you didn't make the bar, you didn't make the obstacle, it's yours. And if it's yours, you can't let it be there and damage someone else. Mm-hmm. So let me read you here. They say there's two ways to be liable for creating a bar, creating an obstacle in a public area. He created the obstacle, in which case he is always liable, even if he does not own it. For example, he dug a pit in a public street. He did not, or number two, he did not create the obstacle, but he owns it. If a person's property happens to be in a place where it could damage, he must remove it, even if he did not put it there. And if if a person's property happens to be in a place where it could do damage, he must remove it, even if he did not put it there. And if he had time to remove it but failed to do so before the damage occurs, he must pay for the damage. But again, this is only because what boils down here is that the first opinion held that you are considered negligent for tripping. And therefore, if through your tripping you drop something and you broke it and these broken pieces are all over the ground, you are liable for it, even if you're not going to bother picking it up. You don't want to pick it up. You don't want to keep it anymore. Mm-hmm. It's hefker. But you created the obstacle, you're liable for it. If you didn't create the obstacle, or you didn't create the obstacle because it's of any fault of yours, then if it's not yours because you're just, you gave up on it, you're not interested in it, then you're not obligated for it. But if you are planning on keeping it, so it is yours, then you're going to be responsible for it and have to pay for any damages that it causes. Have a wonderful day and a good Shabbos.
Full damage.
Thank you.
Yep.